Hey guys, back in the basement again for another sports recap. Guys, I was watching the men's basketball yesterday and they had like the pregame, they had an old ceremony, they had all the interviews, current coaches, former players. They come together and interview. And I was watching this one broadcast, and that was the College GameDay broadcast. They had Jay Billis, Jay Williams. Who else they had on there? Former coach for Virginia Tech, I can't think. And of course, Reese was on there. Well. But they also had Coach John Calipari on there. And he gave his point of view on the state of the college basketball. And it was interesting, the little back and forth with what they had to say and their thoughts on the NIL, transferring, and all that other good stuff. It was all interesting. But I definitely want to give my perspective on the situation. But with that said, we need to get to this beautiful beam footage, the video that was the cause to stir up all of this crazy activity. Guys, with that being said, let's get ready to get to the video and see what these men have to say about the state of college basketball as we see it right now. We're going to go with this for you so it can be better. You have to see my reaction in my face because this is crazy work. Let's go.
We're all waiting on older players. The game is better because it's older. It's 25, 26. I laughed and said the guy got 2 kids and his wife and his on his second wife. And
it's being a pro. It's being a pro basketball player is.
Yes. But John, you say go pro.
God damn.
Some would argue this is professional basketball.
He said second wife.
It's amateur basketball.
No, it's not.
But well, then let's just call it pro and let it be a pro basketball.
Well, but when, first of all, it was pro basketball before NIL, and I'll tell you why. Amateur sports.
I love Jay's Biller's view and what he said in this comment, but I want to make sure you guys hear it. So definitely pay attention to this because he's right. It really was. It was just taken care of and paid for differently, but we're not going to talk about that.
Don't make billions of dollars and pay their coaches and administrators millions. There is nothing about this that has ever been amateur once the money jumped up. And it started in 1984 with the U.S. Supreme Court ruling that allowed the conferences to sell their media rights. There is no difference between the media rights contracts with the NCAA from a media company like ours and the NFL, the NBA, Major League Baseball. Zero different.
From an institutional perspective, because we're not going to fix that issue right now on national TV. How is your system operationalized to kind of keep up with the times? How is it different than what it was 5 years ago? Are you going to have a CEO? Will you have a president overall? Do you have a GM now? Like, how's everything work?
It's different in basketball than football. And here's what I would say. If it comes.
So what he just sit there and said was true because you're talking about way more players you're dealing with compared to a 15-man roster, compared to something like a 53/80-man roster, including the players you got, that is walk-ons, your red shirts, the guys that you're just going to use for practice, most likely those the red shirt guys. Big difference. The average roster for a college football team that's traveling is 60-something players. That's not including the 20 players that are staying home because they're being redshirted, or the ones that are injured. That's not including them. So it's a big difference. So you got to kind of, the way they have to work is going to have to be totally different, but it's going to have to find some way to have some equal footing. And I'm going to talk more about it. Let me let these guys finish. We'll go from there.
There's a point for me personally where it's transactional. I'm paying. You're going to say I'm leaving. You got to pay me more. And I don't do this anymore. As long as it's transformational, I look at Darius Acom, and he's going to keep me coaching for a few more years. Malik Thomas, they'll never be able to play together. Both of them are going to have pro careers. Billy Goat Richmond, Trevin Brazil, he's never been better. That makes me go. But if it becomes transactional, why am I doing this? Then I might well be a pro coach. Just be a pro coach. And with the trade union, the players, and we come up with something. This is not sustainable. If you don't want it to sustain, then say, let's just keep going as is. I'm in this. I mean, I don't mind kids transferring. I don't. But I'm saying, do we really want them to be able to go every year? And then you say, well, coach can. Well, if I left, my players can leave. If I leave, there is a buyout in there. So I don't know. I don't have all the answers, but I do know this. The transfer and the length of eligibility. A 17-year-old playing against a 28-year-old is not healthy and safe. It's just not.
There needs to be
And
some
why
kind of
in
years of
football do
qualification.
they make them stay 3 years? Because they say it's not safe.
No, that's not why. The NFL has a collective bargaining
You and
agreement,
I could go back and forth
No.
on this and have some fun with it.
but they determine.
So again, this is why Jay Billis needs to be there. Because Cal's saying stuff that's going to get the emotions going, right? He's going to say the stuff that's going to get people talking, and not all his information is accurate. So now you got to have somebody to fact check. And that's what Jay Billis is the guy there for. Jay Willis just going to say, oh, okay, and kiss his goddamn ass. Reese probably knows some of this stuff, but he's not going to really be confrontational. Jay Billis has no problem with it. None at all. That other guy that's a former coach, he's old yes man for Cal too. So he's not going to speak against what Cal's saying. So let's keep going.
So that's a great point. Like the NFL, it used to be 4 years, and right now when we're talking about this, we're kind of taking an old school mentality of, hey, it used to be a certain way, and that's fine. But if we want players to stay, then sign them to long-term contracts and put buyouts in them. But the NCAA doesn't want to do that because they don't want them to be employees. They want to beg Congress for an antitrust exemption, and they're not going to get it. Well, what other multi-billion-dollar industry is getting an antitrust exemption from Congress? There isn't one. What the NCAA should do is make rules that don't violate federal law. The rest of American business has to do it. They can do it too.
Well, that's the one major difference then, right? Like that's a difference between being an NBA or NHL. There are rules and regulations. Also, there's a CBA. The players have a voice. The coaches have a voice. We don't have any of those guidelines.
So they don't want it.
Exactly.
The NCAA does not want it. And like when it drives me crazy when people say, well, we used to talk about education. What's stopping you from talking about education? If a player's not interested in education, then don't take the player. And if you don't like transfers, don't take transfers. But you know what everybody wants to do? They want to win. Like none of these schools is going, we have the highest GPA. They're going, we've been to 6 Final Fours. They want to win, and they're going to pay what's necessary to win.
But you got to find a balance, because I don't care what, with collective bargaining, it's a professional sport. All those things sound great. But in the end, these are 17, 18-year-old kids.
They're not kids.
Well,
it's called men's college basketball. They're adults.
That's just rhetoric.
No, they're adults. They're adults.
It's a developing young person.
That's different. You say developing young man. Developing young man is still an adult. They get charged with a crime. They're charged as an adult.
Can I just say this? I've been one that has promoted young people making money 15 years ago. They're NIL. They should be able to do this. We just got to figure out, maybe it's collective bargaining. Maybe it's collective bargaining, $600 a year. And then he's done. No college degree. He goes to get a job. And the guy offers him $60,000. The guy pretty feels good about it. $60,000. This is fugazi money right now. And you're right. There's so much of it. It's crazy. What do we do with that kid? Exactly. Now all of a sudden he says, $60,000. Do I get a car? Do I have to come to work? Do you get me? You're feeding me, right? The department, we're going to deal with mental health issues. And that's what I'm saying. Let's collect the bargain. Let's have people in the room. We're finally talking about it to say it's an issue right now. And we got to do something. I'm for the kids. I don't care what they make. I don't really care. Let people decide that. But how we run our business, we've got to do this different for them. I hate to say it in the game too, which we've all benefited by. No, they fired me though. Did you know they fired me? They fired me because I played rookies.
It's remarkable, Dan. I think both of you make great points in that. I agree with Jake. They're not kids, but they're still maturing. There's something to be said for helping them to develop, helping them make wise decisions, because when we are immature, even if we're adults, sometimes we grab at the first shiny thing we see, and it's not for the betterment in the long
Can I
term.
just say
But you have to let the business function as a business.
Yeah, I just think we're talking about the 1%ers. We're not talking about the enterprise. And we have young people that are making this money, and that's great. And they're going to go to Europe and get fired. They're going to come back. And you talk about mental health issues. We better be prepared to help these people, have someone build a bridge for them to cross to help them navigate the rest of their life, not just these 3 or 4 years where they're marketing.
So they'd
Let
be
me
healthy
say
or
this.
unpaid.
Jay,
I have nothing to say with that.
No, I don't think he's saying
I'm
that.
not
Jay,
saying that at all.
Jay, a kid's making $500,000 a year. He stays and he transfers and he.
College football is 50 years older than the NFL. And the NFL used to have, or excuse me, the NCAA used to have a rule way back in the day that when the NFL was getting going.
Guys, let me first apologize because the video's all over the place. And the reason why I kind of try to blend it together, but I didn't have like a sequence number on it. And that's on me. That's my fault. I should have did a better job at that. So with that being said, kind of it falls like one conversation. This conversation is not. But we do get the gist of what he's talking
But
about.
if you worked in professional sports, you can no longer work in college sports. So the NCAA, the NFL came to the NCAA on bended knee and said, please don't do this to us. You'll kill us as we're getting going. We won't draft our players until they graduate. And then they started drafting them after 3 years. You know why? Not because they're mature enough now. It's because the USFL started drafting juniors and they had to keep up. That's all it is. That's a collective bargaining issue for eligibility for the draft and nothing more. The NBA has an eligibility issue that says 1 year after your high school graduation and you're in. So that's a pro thing, not a college thing. The colleges the NCAA will not adjust to this. They never have. And they've used the word unsustainable for 50 years now, and the money keeps going up. The ratings are higher than they've ever been right now.
Can I ask you or not?
Let me say this. Back in the mid-90s, 97, I think Ed O'Bannon seen himself in a video game. Just like this image and everything, but he never got paid for it. He's the father of him pushing for this NIL deal. And he filed a lawsuit back in 97, a year after he was done playing. He filed in. NCAA had over 20-something years. They had over almost 28. If you go back even to 97 when they filed a lawsuit and you knew about it and it was going to be, it could possibly happen. Even if it didn't happen, you at least will be prepared if it did. They didn't even do anything. You had over 25 years to address this, and they haven't. Now they're in panic mode. Now they're trying to react to what should have been dealt with way long time ago. Should have been dealing with in the early 2000s. You know what they did? They stopped allowing EA Sports to make their video game. That was their answer. Stop allowing NA Sports to use their game in the college team. That's what they did. So you stop having college football probably about the early 2000s. Once the case was settled, they was entitled to the back pay of an image line. They stopped having EA Sports doing the college game. So you was without EA Sports for almost 15, I think, years without a college football game. It was early 2000 when they stopped doing it, or mid 2000 when they stopped doing it. That was their answer to it. Oh, well, we're not going to play these players, so we're going to stop using them on their game, stop producing that game for it. That's what's going to fix it. You got other things. You're still selling these kids jersey numbers. People know who number 5 for USC is. They know that's Reggie Bush. They know who number 8 is for the University of Louisville. That's Lamar Jackson. We know who Vince Young wore when he wore the number, I think it was 12 at Texas. We know that. We need to stop this. But that's what they tried to do. Had the jersey number, no name on the back. And thought they was going to continue to get away with and not pay these kids. And these kids get this, getting a scholarship, and that's all they need. But then when these boosters come by, give them a good old friendly what's happening handshake and laying a little money in their pocket, I give them a pre-loaded Visa card, then y'all get violation for inappropriate benefits Well, then you wonder why. Do these kids deserve something? Hell yeah, they deserve something. You're paying these coaches millions of dollars. You're paying their assistants millions of dollars, hundreds of thousands of dollars. Everybody on that staff getting money beside the main people who are producing, and it's the reason why these coaches are getting paid. They're getting these wins, they're getting these titles, they're bringing this prestige to your schools, and these kids are not getting a goddamn dime. They deserve any money that comes to them. I have no problem with seeing these young boys and young ladies get paid. I don't, because they deserve it. They work hard. They're student athletes. They go out there, they sacrifice their bodies. They have to do their work. The work doesn't stop. Even if it's online, it still has to be done. They got to maintain their eligibility. I remember back in the days, you was on scholarship, you couldn't work. You couldn't have a job. You did what you had to do. But we did these camps during the summertime when the scholarships wasn't in play. That was the only way of making money and getting around the whole NCAA rules and shit. That's what we had to do. Work in camps, volunteer, supposedly, at camps, hold these clinics, shit like that in order to get some money. Now it's wide open. Anybody can get paid. Everybody get paid. And I don't blame them. Matter of fact, I want my back pay. Yeah, I'm filing a goddamn grievance. I want my 94 through 98 back pay. I deserve this. Am I going to get it? Probably not. They're going to look at me like, go to hell. Your old ass better go on about your business. But as long as these young bloods, these young ladies get that money, man, get your money. This is the state of college sports right now. I'm all for it. They deserve it. Let the adults figure that out. It ain't for the kids to figure out. And the fact that they kept talking about, they said, man, how many freshmen are 17 anymore? Ain't no freshmen coming in on 17. They 18 and older. In fact, they 19. All of them being held back. Red shirt years are them COVID years. You know, they were still doing them. So they're not coming in freshmen at 17 no more, 18 no more. They 19 on up, 20. True freshmen, 20. Don't do that. That's not love. Majority of them are older than 17. Talk about they look kid. Okay, if you're 17 who came in, you're right. That's not what they are. Guaranteed they're 18 and above. Guaranteed. It's not how it's going like it used to. I'm just saying. That being said, look, I love the college game. I watch it. I participate. My son's involved in it, and I'm right there rooting for him. But look, if all monies that they can get from it, they deserve it. They deserve every dime they can get out of this. College sports makes billions of dollars. They have multi-billions of money they get paid by the Fox, the ESPNs, the CBS, the NBCs. All of them are getting paid. Everybody getting paid. Why shouldn't these young women and these young men get paid too? They should. Get your money, young folks. Get your goddamn money. With that being said, I will catch you beautiful people on the next one. Right on.